Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Clipboard Confessional with Bobby and Anthony. I'm one of your hosts, Anthony Aniano. Joining me, as he always does, my colleague, good friend, and a fantasy football opponent all at the same time, Mr. Bobby Wah. Bobby, we are here now 1 week into the NFL preseason, and this is a fun episode for me. I know it's a fun episode for you. We've previewed the positions, and I want to mention that right away. If you're following us on X, and you missed anything, go back. We've previewed all the positions. You know, the offensive side, we've talked quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. This one's a little different. Maybe not a fantasy conversation, but an NFL conversation as we give our predictions for the 2025 NFL season. Individual awards, team glory. We'll cover it all today. So I know we've been looking forward to this one, my friend. So before we get into it, how are you?
Oh, dude, I'm great. I think we're, exactly where we need to be, right? Tanner McKee's the QB1 in the NFL.
You
Your
are amped up for
Giants,
the Tanner McGee. You are amped up.
your Giants are better than the Bills, Super Bowl bound for sure.
All
And
you need to
Ashton
know.
Genty should, right? Ashton Genty should have been a day three pick. I mean, this is right where we thought we'd be, right?
I mean, everything gets resolved after watching the starters play for one series in week one, right?
That's right.
The I love, and I haven't seen it as much this year, I'll be honest, as in years past. I love the overhype from a mid-August meaningless football game. I get giddy over it. Sherrell Sanders, Hall of Famer, Jackson Dart, a Hall of Famer. And although let's be very realistic, they look good. Like both of those rookie quarterbacks did look good. If you're a Giant fan, you're excited about Dart. You're excited about Russell Wilson. He went right 6 for 7 in his game that day, and then Dart took over. So short term, I'm not saying the Giants are a playoff team, but I think their offense is at least watchable under Russell Wilson and exciting on the Dart. Cleveland, did they get something in Shedeur Sanders? Just recording this obviously on a Tuesday. Second depth chart comes out of Cleveland. He's still listed as number 4. Joe Flacco, number 1, but that's kind of meaningless for me too, as we sit here on August 12th. Before we get into our predictions, though, week 2 of the preseason, we do see starters play a little bit more, right? The Colts have already come out and said Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones, they'll play the first half as that quarterback competition continues. Is this the game? Is this the week that you look at out of the 3 preseason games that matter to you? Because this seems to be the one. If starters are going to play, this is the game they do at least get a quarter or maybe a half of the game in.
Probably the preseason has changed so much over the years. Starters used to play in almost all the games, way back when. And then, you progressively the starters play less and less. And then for a while they didn't play at all. But then you find out, the season starts and you're not ready. The Bengals, notoriously always are slow starters and they don't play, the first string players during the preseason. So then it was, the third playoff game or the third preseason game. That's when the starters came in. Now it's kind of the second. Every team kind of does their own thing. I feel like it used to be more unified, and now
Yeah.
each coach, each general manager, they're just they approach a preseason differently. So it's tough. Really, all I want to see ones go against ones, whether it's the first week of the preseason, the third week of the preseason, whatever, whenever it is. I want to see the ones against the ones. Now, I will say it's a little bit alarming when you get a first string Bengals defense against a second string Philly offense and the first stringers get whooped up on, regardless of what game it is, what matchup it is. That says more to me than the opposite, than the first stringers dominating the second stringers. But yeah, whenever ones are going against ones, that's when I'll pay a little bit of attention.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, another weekend coming up of watchable football. Week 3, little break, and then boom, away we go. Drafts are being set up. I still got a couple of drafts left. You do as well. So all of that excitement going on. Now, let's get into our predictions. And we are going to start in the AFC. Fair enough.
Sure.
AFC East, we've got Buffalo. You have a Patriots team that on paper should be better. Year 2 of Drake May. Miami, the Dolphins, the Enigma. What are they? Are they healthy? And then the Jets. Did they find their quarterback in Justin Fields, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall? Let's start with this. Your AFC East champion. Give me a team.
It has to be the Buffalo Bills. I don't want it to be.
Has to be.
But they've won it 5 years in a row. So
Minus 280 on FanDuel to win the division.
right.
We're gonna throw some FanDuel numbers at you. Do what you want with them, everybody.
Mhm.
Buffalo minus 280 to win the division.
They were second in points last year. Their offense looks the same. They had the 11th best scoring defense last year. Their defense is pretty much the same. They added Joey Bosa. So it's hard for me to see them getting worse in either category. But even and here's all right. So every now and then I come up with a bold prediction that I don't think is so bold, where I take a very good team and leave them out of the playoffs. Last year was the Niners for me. I
Okay.
predicted them to miss the playoffs. It happened a couple years ago after the Rams won the Super Bowl. Everyone said I was crazy leaving them out of the playoffs the next year. I don't have a team like that this year. However, if I was gonna pick one, it would be this Buffalo Bills team. The only thing keeping me from doing it is the rest of the division. There's no one else that can win it. Like when I picked the Niners to not make it, it's because they had the Rams nipping at their heels. When I picked the Rams not to win it, they had the Niners at their heels. So it was like I just can't do that this year with Buffalo. They're 13-4. They're head and shoulders above the rest of the teams in that division, so they're staying pat.
I actually, and I agree with you, and I have Buffalo coming in as the 2 seed in the AFC.
Sure.
Um, the 2 seed. Buffalo's minus 800 to make the playoffs. Vegas has them essentially a lock.
Mhm.
I do have the Jets out of that division as a just missing the playoffs.
Mhm.
Seven
Okay.
teams make the postseason. I think the Jets are competitive. I think they're better than they've been. I like Aaron Glenn. I'm not saying they're a playoff team, but you're talking, you know, down the stretch, weeks 15, 16, 17. If you're a Jet fan, you've got something to cheer on. You have something to root for. They fall short. But to me, there's offensive talent there. And the defense has always been pretty solid. There's offensive talent there that's going to keep them more competitive than they have. All right.
And you know I'm all about the Jets this year, buddy. As far as fantasy goes, Fields,
Yeah.
Wilson, Brees Hall, I'm higher on those guys than most. So I like that.
12-team draft, by the way, that I'm competing in an industry, FF Webmasters. Took Jared Goff in round 8 as my QB1
Love
or
him
round
so much.
7. Now,
You
here's the
are
surprise.
you are obsessed with Jared Goff.
It's such a good offense. But then in round 11, and this wasn't my plan, it just happened. Round 11, I got Justin Fields.
Yeah, buddy. Wheels up.
Yeah, so I'm like, all right, I didn't plan this, but if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it. And now I think painted myself in a corner of having to decide, and I hate doing it. Who am I starting every week? But I think that's the decision I'm gonna have to make every week. Will Justin Fields' running ability really, match what the fantasy production that Jared Goff can do through the air? It's gonna be fun to watch. Now, let's move on to the AFC Central. Again, Pittsburgh, Aaron Rodgers, the Bengals. I love the Bengals are a fun team to watch offensively, especially. You have the Baltimore Ravens there, obviously. Again, this one seems like a slam dunk. That's why I was starting with them. Who is your division winner there?
You said AFC Central. What year are we in, buddy?
AFC North. Oh my God, you're right. I did. I did. I've aged
Third of that.
myself there, right? That was
Yeah,
before.
third.
That was 3 conferences, not two, 4.
Yeah, we
AFC
turning back the
North.
clock.
There you go.
I can't go away from Baltimore. They're too good. The whole roster is talented. They're 12-5. They made the playoffs 6 of the last 7 years. Look, I'm not going to be the guy that gets off the Derrick Henry bandwagon. I'm not going to get the guy that gets off the Ravens either because they just do it every year. They, some would argue Jim Harbaugh needs to go. One of my best friends, late great Kevin Reynolds, he would say, hashtag fire Harbaugh almost every week. He wanted a fresh face in there leading that squad. But they're the third highest scoring team in football. I tell you what was interesting though is they were the 31st ranked pass defense last year, which is very
Yes.
unlike them.
Although it was significantly better in the second half.
Yeah,
Beginning of the year, you went any quarterback, any wide receiver, you went against Baltimore. That
right.
didn't hold as the year came to an end, though.
Right. But then they go out and they also draft Malachi Starks to put next to Kyle Hamilton in that secondary. I think that was, that's what good teams do, right? They have holes and they fill those holes with great players. I think Malachi Starks is a great player. And they're so efficient. They were 31st in pass attempts, but they were seventh in passing yards. Same way with Buffalo. Buffalo is 26 in pass attempts and ninth in yards. So good teams are super efficient, and Baltimore is obviously one of those teams.
Yeah, I agree. I have them in minus 155 to win the division, minus 590 to make the playoffs, and I have them as the AFC one seed. Would you agree with them as the one seed?
Oh, yeah, you can sell me on that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Now, my next question is I don't think any other team out of the AFC makes the playoffs, AFC East, other than Buffalo makes the playoffs. Like I said, I think the Jets are fringe. I think New England's a year away with Drake May. And I do think Miami is just such an enigma, you can't trust them. However, I will say this in the AFC North, I do have the Bengals as a wild card team. Cleveland, I'm not concerned about. I just think they're a mess. I don't even think we need to talk about them.
Yep.
Do you agree Cincinnati as a playoff team? And does Pittsburgh keep their playoff streak with Mike Tomlin alive with Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf, the new backfield? They've made changes. The question is, are those changes good enough to keep them in the playoff mix?
So one thing I found that was interesting in my research, in only twice in the last 9 seasons have the Bengals finished first or second in the division. Only twice in 9 seasons, which is kind of surprising because they seem like such a good team with Joe Burrow and all that stuff. But yes, I do have them in the playoffs. They just barely missed last year. It came to the very last like play of the last game and last week of the season last year for them to
Yeah.
to not make it. So yes, I do have them getting into the playoffs every year. It's about 50% turnover as far as what teams make the playoffs. Last year was wild. I think only 4 teams were different from 2 years ago to last year, which was an outlier for sure. I have 6 new teams coming in. Cincinnati is one of those new teams,
Yep.
which means I definitely got to have that team going out. And I do have the Pittsburgh Steelers missing the playoffs. I
This is
just
no
can't do
fun today. We are agreeing way too much.
it. Okay. All right. That's
I,
that's
I
all
have
right.
I have Cincinnati settling in as the 6th seed, and we'll
Mhm.
recap all our seeds and when we're done with the AFC. I have them as the 6th seed, minus 148 to make the playoffs. And I agree with you. I don't have Pittsburgh in. I think the Aaron Rodgers effect. I understand why Pittsburgh brought him in, right? They had nobody else, but I don't know if he's the guy to get him to the postseason either.
Did you know? Give me a guess. The last time Pittsburgh finished last in their division, and I'm not saying they're going to finish last. When's the
Oh
last
my
time they?
God! Last,
The Yep,
I mean, I'm going to say it's been 20 years.
1988. It's the last time they finished
20
last
to
in their division.
37 years ago.
That's
That's insane.
insane.
And thankfully, they have Cleveland in the division. Listen, I'm not saying like can Pittsburgh win 8 games, 9 games? Yeah, I think they do. I mean, you get to play Cleveland twice, right? Um,
It's not going to be enough.
it's not going to be enough. I agree. All right, now this division's interesting. AFC South.
Mhm.
Texans won it last year. You've got the Titans, kind of in a rebuild now with the rookie quarterback in Cam Ward. You got the Jaguars, who won the division a couple of years ago. You thought they were on the rise. New head coach, plummeted. And then the Colts, who, let's just be honest, if your quarterback competition right now is Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones, you might not have a quarterback. That's where the Colts are potentially now. Texans were disappointed last year. And the wide receiver room relying on a couple of rookies to go with Nico Collins, Joe Mixon with the foot. More love going now, suddenly Nick Chubb dropping, Woody Marks, ADP rising for the Houston Texans. And we know what the Jaguars did. They built around Trevor Lawrence. Tootin, running with the first team reports. Brian Thomas is a stud. Travis Hunter. Who do you have winning that division, the AFC South?
So boring because the same 4 division winners from last year I have this year because, and it
You're
has
going
less.
Houston, right?
I am. and it's really because of the teams around them. The only team I think that has a shot at dethroning them is the Jaguars. And I'll go ahead and spoil this. I have Jacksonville in the playoffs this coming year. We'll talk about them in a minute or two. And what's crazy with the Texans is everyone says they had such a down year last year, which is what you just said and what everyone said. 2 years ago, when they were up and coming team, Bobby Slowick's getting interviews for head coaching positions, they scored 377 points. Last year, they scored 372 points. 5 points less, and all of a sudden we have a terrible year.
Yeah.
But look, the new OC, they got new Nick Caley. He's worked with Josh McDaniels. He's worked with Sean McVay. That's can be exciting, I think. Change his offense up a little bit. They got some new pieces. They lost Tank Dell, but we've talked several times about Jaden Higgins, and I love Jalen Noel. The running game, we'll see. That's what worries me the most because you have these good teams. I mean, think about it. All these good teams have great running offenses. Eagles, Ravens, Bills with their running backs and Josh Allen. So I still think they win it again, but the offensive line's a huge question mark. So we'll see. I just don't know. Besides the Jaguars, it's going to be the Colts. Besides your boy Brian Dable, Shane Steichen might be on the hottest seat in the
Yep.
coaching world. So I don't know. I don't
I
feel
uh
great about it, but
I don't have the Texans making the playoffs.
I like it.
I have the Jaguars winning the division.
Okay.
Now, that is a big dependent on does Trevor Lawrence become Trevor Lawrence, right? Like Trevor Lawrence coming out of college was Trevor Lawrence. He's had moments. The Jaguars have pushed all in. New head coach, an offensive minded head coach, a running back room that has to be figured out, but is not without talent. And you can't argue with the wide receiver room there. So I'm not saying it's a 13-win team. I do think 10 wins is more than enough to win that division. And I have the Jaguars winning it. So you talk about teams who don't return to the playoffs. I don't have the Texans back. I don't have the Steelers back. And I have the Jaguars winning that division. I don't think they go far in the postseason, but I do have them winning that division. I think that team may very well and if they don't win the division, or like you said, even make the playoffs, I think Trevor Lawrence has to start, realizing it's not a bust in Canton he's going to get. It's just a bust, and that's a concern because that's a very talented college quarterback who's not panning out. They win the division, it's a different conversation for Trevor Lawrence. If they win the division, it's because he took the next step. So I don't know. You have him in the postseason, right?
I do. And really, it's the head coaching change. You get Liam Cohen in there. Tampa Bay's offense under Dave Canales in 2023, they had the 20th highest scoring offense. Well, they didn't change anything. They brought in Bucky Irving, obviously, last offseason. But under Cohen, they jumped up to the fourth best offense in the league.
Yeah.
And Canales got a head coaching job, and I think he's starting to turn Bryce Young around and do some good things there in Carolina. The biggest drawback or holdback or doubt that I have on the Jaguars is the fact they were 4-13 this past season. They're bottom 26 in offense and defense. They're going to need the Washington Commanders turnaround to make this happen. I don't know that history tells us you'd have to really look into stuff, do some research that happens twice in 2 years. Now, again, you already said that you don't think they'll make it far, so we're not saying they're going to make it to the AFC Championship game, but I do think they can squeak into the playoffs. I have them as a wild card.
Let's have some fun. Jacksonville Jaguars. You ready? Don't
Yeah.
overthink it. Gut reaction. Week 1, Carolina, win or loss.
Oh boy,
Home in
win
Jacksonville.
in
In Jacksonville.
Jacksonville. Yeah, win. I'll probably split those games.
Week 2 on the road against Cincinnati.
Loss.
Week 3 at home against the Texans. I'm giving them
Home.
a win.
Yeah, I think so too. I'll probably split those
Week
as well.
4 on the road against San Francisco, there's a loss.
Yep.
Week 5, Monday night at home against Kansas City,
Loss.
2-3. Week 6 at home against Seattle.
They win. That's a long trip.
Week 7 at home against the Rams.
Ooh, that'll probably be pretty good. I'll give it to the Rams though.
All right, so they're 3-4.
Yep.
Bye week. Week 9 against the Raiders. That's a win.
Win.
Week 10 at Houston. I'm giving them the win there.
Mm, I'll probably go Houston.
All right, so I have them at 5 wins. You have them at 4. Week 11 against the Chargers at home.
Let's give them a win there. Let's have them pull that out. Those people underestimate the trips. The cross country
Yes.
trips are difficult.
Yeah. Week 12, they go to Arizona.
In Arizona, I'll give it to the Cardinals.
All right. So that's 5 losses. Now, this is down the stretch. I think they get 2 back-to-back here. I have them at 6 wins. They go at Tennessee
I can see a win. Yeah,
versus the Colts at
win.
home against the Jets.
That's going to be a good game. I'll probably give them a win because it's home.
All
I'll
right, so
give them a
that's 8 or
slight
9
edge.
wins there.
Yep.
Then they finish on the road against Denver, give it a loss.
Yep.
Home against the Colts. I'm giving them a win. I don't think the
Win.
Colts are going to be very good. Home against the Titans. Win.
Yeah. That's
So
double digit wins,
I
right?
have them at 5. That's 11 wins. You have them at 10 wins.
That'll do it.
That'll do it. That'll win you that division. That'll win you that division. No doubt about it. All right. Now,
Now, one thing that could change it, the Chargers, we'd have to look at their schedule because sometimes, like if they have, maybe they play Miami the week before, they may stay over there on the East Coast, which
true.
would give them a little bit of an edge. Hey, we might have the Jeff Saturday might be coaching the Colts again by the time they play
Yeah.
the Jaguars. They
Yeah.
might, teams might rally around that new guy.
Point being, schedule does favor Jacksonville, though.
Sure.
So we had them at 4. We said 9 wins can win the division. We looked at it just off the cuff, and 10 or 11 wins are, I don't say gonna happen, but are in the realm of possibility. Now, AFC West, I think you can make a case for the best division in football.
Yes.
I have the Chiefs continuing to win the division, but I do have 3 teams from this division making the playoffs. I have the Chargers, a playoff team, Amari and Hampton, the changes they've made, Lad McConkey, Keenan Allen now to support him, Justin Herbert, the defense, and I have the Broncos in. Bo Nix, the running back room, Cortland Sutton. I have Evan Ingram. That's a good Broncos team as well. The only team I don't have making the playoffs out of that division are the Raiders, and I do think the Raiders are a more competitive this team this year with Geno, Bowers, Genty, and everybody else. It's a good division, probably the best in, maybe the best in football. And I do have 3 of those 4 teams making the playoffs. What do you think?
Yeah, I have Kansas City winning the division. It's I don't think it's going to be as
Minus
easy.
110, by the way. Minus 110 to win the division. By the way,
Yeah, I don't.
just to go back, my pick Jacksonville to win the division, plus 300 on FanDuel.
Ooh, there you go.
There
Five,
you
ten
go.
bucks on that one.
There you go.
I don't think it's going to be as easy for Kansas City. I mean, they won 10 one-score games last year. For that to happen 2 years in a row is going to be tough. I will say Andy Reid is probably on the Mount Rushmore of head coaches. So anytime you got that guy calling your plays and running your squad, you definitely have an advantage over whoever is on the opposite side of the field. They converted 50% of their third downs, which is wild to me. I mean, that's so good. And they've had double-digit wins for a decade. The Kansas City
Yeah.
Chiefs have had double-digit winning seasons for a decade. So yeah, I got them in. I have Denver in as well as a wild card. They haven't won the division since they won the Super Bowl back in 2015. But again, it's tough when you got Kansas City, in there. I already said I have Cincinnati in. I have Jacksonville in. Those are the only 2 new teams I have. Pittsburgh is out, which means I have the Chargers out. It's not by a lot. I mean, we're
So
talking
it's the difference we have is you have Houston and Jacksonville.
Yep.
I don't have Houston. I have Denver.
Yeah. Well, and I tell you what's interesting is that what if we just went through the Jaguars schedule? Let's say the Jaguars do beat the Chargers. That could be the tiebreaker. They could end up with the same record,
Yeah.
go to a tiebreaker, and that could be what gets Jacksonville in and keeps the Chargers out. So it's funny that that worked out that way. That was not on purpose, but and it's
So
nothing
do
against
you
the
have
Chargers.
1 through 7 seedings in the AFC?
Yeah,
What do you got? 1 through 7.
I got Baltimore, I
Hmm.
got Buffalo, I
Me
got
too.
KC, I got
Yep.
Houston.
I have Jacksonville 4. Okay.
Okay, then I have Denver, Cincinnati, Jacksonville.
Denver, Cincinnati, Jacksonville. And what's funny is I have Chargers, Cincinnati, Denver 7,
Okay.
and Jets missing out. All right, let's pivot to the NFC.
So you
Uh,
had two teams there, right? You had two new teams.
um,
No, just
Jacksonville and Cincinnati.
oh yeah, got it. Yep, same two. Got it.
NFC.
Yeah.
NFC East. Washington, magical run out of the wild card. We know what your Eagles did. Giants, a better team. You might not see a better record though. Toughest schedule in the league based on winning percentage. I think there'll be a more competitive team, a more watchable team. Might not translate into W's though, because of just you give them the Jaguars schedule, maybe it's a little bit of a different conversation for the Giants, but that schedule is brutal. And the Cowboys are going to cowboy. Let's just acknowledge it. That's what they do. That being said, there are probably 3 legitimate playoff threats out of the NFC East. I only have 2 of them making it. I have the Eagles winning the division at -140, and I do have Washington getting in as a wild card team. Terry McLaurin situation, running back room, maybe holding them back a little bit, but I do have Washington at -132 to make the postseason. I don't have Dallas in. What about you?
Yeah, I got Philly in. Tough to not do that with how talented that roster is. They did lose Kellen Moore, which is huge. This will mark like the 47th straight year Jalen Hurts will have a new offensive coordinator. I think no, I think this is accurate. The last time he had the same OC back to back was when he played for his dad in high school, even through college. New offensive coordinators every year. It's crazy stuff for Jalen Hurts, and the fact that he stays successful is pretty impressive. They did keep the DC Vic Fangio, so that's big time. They lost a lot of talent, but they also are so good at drafting and
Yeah.
developing talent in house. They just won a Super Bowl. They are the second youngest team in football right now.
Yep.
The second youngest team and just won a championship. That's wild to me. And I actually have Washington out of the playoffs. I think Cinderella's time ran out. I love Dan Quinn, and I think he just shows what changing a culture can do. And I certainly don't think Washington's going to have a bad season. But when you look at certain things like sophomore slump from quarterbacks, we saw it with C.J. Stroud, Jaden Daniels, a prime example. He completed 78% of his passes against zone coverage. He completed 55% against man. So if I know that, now you know that. Obviously, defensive coordinators know that. So they're going to adjust their defenses when they play the Commanders to make sure that they can make Jaden Daniels' life as big of a hell as possible. They're old. I think they're the second oldest
Yeah.
team in
Yeah.
football. And like you said, the Terry McLaurin thing doesn't make me happy. The run game is sluggish at best. So, and they were so great at third down, fourth down in the red zone. I mean, to be as efficient as they were last year is going to be difficult. But
Okay.
I have, and this I don't want to say out loud, but I have Dallas making the playoffs.
You do.
I do because you said Dallas is going to Dallas, which means they're either going to be awful or they're going to make the playoffs and then be awful. And they were 7-10 last year without Dak Prescott. They were 12-5 3 consecutive seasons before that. I know they got a new head coach. He likes to throw the ball. Well, you got Dak, he's pretty good. You got CeeDee Lamb, who's great. You got George Pickens. That's going to help out big time. And their defense can't be worse. They were 31st ranked defense last
Michael
year.
Parsons situation scaring you?
It is honestly. because he seems to be really dug in, and Jerry Jones doesn't seem to care. But what if Jerry Jones, this is just a stunt to make headlines? He knows he's going to sign Micah Parsons, but he loves the attention. So didn't they do this with Dak a couple years ago, where they didn't pay him until like three
The
days
only person
before the
they paid
season
was
started?
Ezekiel Elliott. Let me know how that worked out for Dallas.
Right? I know, I know. But yeah, I think Dallas is going to do well during the regular season, and I don't see them making it very far in the playoffs. I have them a wild card.
So you're taking Washington out, putting Dallas in.
Yeah.
I
I got
don't
four
have
new
Dallas in.
teams
What's
on the
that?
NFC. I have four new teams on the NFC.
Okay. Uh, um, I do not. I only have one. We'll talk
So
about
you're
that.
telling
I
me
don't
only
have
three
Dallas in.
teams are going to change over? History
Yeah.
tells us it's almost 50%. Last year
Well,
was an
it's
anomaly with only
the
four.
bottom to the top in the NFL is very different. Although my 7 seed, I got to be honest, I'm not sold on my 7 seed, and we'll talk about that. I
Okay.
will talk about that. I have Eagles as the 2 seed coming out of the NFC. I have Washington as the 5 seed. NFC North. This is the division that I thought was the toughest to break down. You can make a case that any team in that division could possibly win the division. You certainly can make a case that all four of these teams, the Lions, who won 15 games, but new coordinators on both sides of the ball, the Vikings, who had a great season, a new quarterback, right? The J.J. McCarthy train is hyped through the roof, but he's still a new quarterback. They've got a little younger in the backfield. Jordan Addison missing a couple of games. The Packers, they won 11 games last year very quietly. They've added what they think is their number one wide receiver in Matthew Golden. And then there's the Bears, who didn't make the playoffs. And does Caleb Williams make the jump year two? We know they added pieces around them, Loveland, Luther Burden. It's an interesting division. Now, I still have the Lions winning the division, plus 155, minus 184. I can't ignore it. You're getting Aiden Hutchinson back this year, healthy after breaking his leg. See what that looks like. I'm actually pretty high on him. We'll talk about that more later on. And I do have, and this is my pick that I can't even convince myself, but I'm falling in love with the J.J. McCarthy hype train. I do have the Vikings getting in as the 7 seed. I don't have the Packers in. I don't have the Bears in. Vikings plus 104. If you told me, Anthony, you're crazy, Dallas gets in before Minnesota, the Rams get in, not the Rams, the Bears get in before them. Heck, even you could sell me on the Cardinals getting in. I really wouldn't put up a big fight. Like I'm not dying on the Minnesota Viking mountaintop, if that makes sense. But I do, as of August 12th, have them in as the 7 seed. What do you think about the NFC North?
I'm not worried about the Bears. I've seen them. I do like Brian Johnson coming or Ben Johnson coming in, but I'm not sold on Caleb Williams at all. So I'm not. They're not even in the conversation for me. Minnesota is in the conversation, but I have them missing the playoffs. I think they had, I mean, a wild, Washington as Cinderella season. It was a throwaway. I don't even think they were excited to play, and all of a
No.
sudden Sam Darnold comes in and starts
Yeah.
dominating.
Yeah.
And they win 14 games. I mean, imagine winning 14 games and being not winning your division.
So
It's
you're
crazy.
saying going down from 14 to maybe 8 or 9 games?
Probably 9, 10-ish, right around in there. I do have Green Bay making the playoffs again. I just feel like they're so well coached. Matt LaFleur is, I mean, he honestly really is a good coach. He doesn't care about our fantasy teams, I'll tell you that. And I think that's a big reason. They call me crazy, but so many people are focused on fantasy that they don't like Matt LaFleur because he doesn't have fantasy producers outside of Josh Jacobs. The receivers, no wide receiver had more than 900 yards last year. They were 30th in pass attempts, but he wins ball games. He knows how to win. They were eighth best scoring offense, sixth on defense. So it's just a good, solid team. I think they win. I think they win enough games to get in the playoffs. And Detroit, they are also in the running for the really good team that misses the playoffs the following year. I can't do the Bills. Right now, I have Detroit in. I actually have them as the 2 seed. They did all of what they did last year while losing 11 defensive players
Yeah.
to injuries throughout the season, which And this is where I juggle because I don't know what matters more. The fact that they were able to do everything they did while losing an unbelievable amount of talent, or the fact that they lost not just coordinators, my friend, they lost seven coaches from their squad.
Mhm.
And that's tough. Philly was 13-3. They lost Frank Reich. They went to 9-7 the following year. They went from 14-3 to 11-6 after losing Jonathan Gannon and Shane Steichen. But that 11-6 was smoke and mirrors, buddy. I mean, they started off, if you remember, I think 10-1, and then they lost the last five and got smashed first round of the playoffs. They were not an 11-6 team. It's so difficult when you lose coaches like that from a really good team. So right now, I'm giving the edge to the Lions to come back and definitely not repeat. They're not going to win 15 games, but you tell me they win 12, 13. I can buy what you're selling there. Do you know how many times the Lions have had back-to-back double-digit winning seasons?
Oh, geez, no, two or
This
three,
it
like
never.
never. There you go.
This was the first time, the last two seasons,
Yeah.
first time since 1930
It's a
that they've had
very
back to
different
back.
Lion team, though. It's a different
Oh yeah,
culture.
yeah. Hmm.
You know, this is a Lion team Detroit has, craved for
Hmm.
years. I was in Detroit a couple of years ago to go to a game. I watched them play the Giants. Um, that fan base was desperate for this. They got it. I mean, listen, they got lucky, right? I don't want to say lucky, but Jared Goff was not the long-term future. He was a throw-in in the Stafford trade, and they happened to hit. And they've hit on a ton of picks. Like Amon Ra was not an early first round. Like they've hit and they continue to hit. And listen, Aiden Hutchinson is a key, and getting defensively healthy is the key. It's going to be interesting how they cope with all the new coaching changes. But the key for me is the guy at the top of the food chain is still there,
Yeah.
and that should provide some stability. So you have Detroit and just Detroit. You have Detroit and Green Bay. I have Detroit and a skittish Minnesota. And I could easily go to the beach and flip flop this thing and go Green Bay very easily there. And NFC South, not the same talent, not the same division. I'm not all in on Atlanta. Michael Penix year too. I'm struggling to buy in on that, although Bijan's going to be a beast. Carolina, and I don't know if Bryce Young's there yet. Saints may very well be the worst team in football. And then there's Tampa, who talk about new coaches, right? The guy who brought Baker Mayfield back from the dead, he's now in Jacksonville trying to do the same thing for Trevor Lawrence. That being said, there's so much talent on the offensive side of the field for the Tampa Bay Bucks that at plus 105, they are my division winner and the only team to make the playoffs from that division. What do you think?
I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers missing the playoffs. There's not a chance Baker Mayfield is going to repeat a career year. He's definitely not going to improve on
Does
it.
he have to win that division?
He doesn't have to win it. No, that division, it's so funny. The AFC West is competitive because of how good everyone is, but the NFC South has been competitive because of how
That,
dismal teams
yep,
have been, right?
yep.
So it's not about how many games you win in this division, it's about how many you don't lose. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? New offensive coordinator, we'll see how that goes. They have won the division four straight times. But I actually have the Atlanta
So
Falcons winning that division.
you're believing in
Um,
Penix?
um, yes, but only because that's what the Atlanta Falcons are telling me to do. Because they drafted him way before anybody thought he was going to go.
Yeah.
So they obviously believed in him to eighth overall, right?
Yeah.
Before JJ McCarthy. So they love him. And then what did they do in the offseason to help out their offense? Not very much, which tells me they're very comfortable with where their offense is at. Defense, however, they gave up 27 points per game to division opponents last year. So they go out, they spend not one, but two first round picks on pass rushers, a third
Yeah.
round pick on a defensive player, a fourth round pick on a defensive player. They were 13th best offense last year. 23rd in D. I think even if they stay the 13th best offense, if you can improve your defense, they're going to win a few more ball games and they're going to be all right. They're going to push for that division title. And when you have someone like Bajan, like you said, and you got Drake London to have Michael Penix lean on, he doesn't have to carry this squad. That's for Mr. Robinson. So I like it. And they're going to come up a little bit later on as well in our show. So a little tease.
There you go. NFC. So you have Tampa. I have Tampa. You have Atlanta. NFC West. I think one of the more interesting divisions there.
Yes.
Does Sam Darnold do what he did in Minnesota for Seattle? The 49ers, listen, injuries destroyed their season last year. McCaffrey right now is healthy. Ayuk, now they're saying not till week 6. They traded Debo, Ricky Pearsall time, Jawan Jennings, the defense. Cardinals, do they finally perform to where people have expected them to perform with Kyler, Marvin Harrison? And then the Rams, one last all-in push. Stafford dealing with a back right now, which is scary. But they went all in. Devontae Adams, they signed Kyron, they have Puka. I have the Rams on this date winning the division. Now, if in 2 weeks we still have, bad reports about Matthew Stafford's back, and at 37 years old, 38 years old, a bad back doesn't go away magically anymore, as you and I could probably both attest to. If that becomes an issue, I reserve the right 2 weeks from now to pivot away from the Rams, who, by the way, plus 200 to win that division, and go to San Francisco, who I also have making the playoffs this year. I have both of those teams in from that division. I have Arizona just missing out as well. Like, I was torn. That 7 seed, Minnesota, Arizona, Green Bay, even Atlanta a little bit. That 7 seed was really tough for me to decide on coming at Dallas. That 7 seed was very tough for me to come away from. But I have the 49ers in minus 205 to make the postseason. As long as they're healthier, I think they're just still a very good team and can easily win that division. And Stafford with the back, that's a big concern. Today I have him in. I could pivot away from that if that's because I don't trust Jimmy Garoppolo, that's for sure. What do you have coming out of that NFC West?
Yeah, I think we both can agree that if Stafford doesn't play or misses time, then the Rams are out, right? They need Stafford for sure, which a lot of teams need their starting quarterback. I get it. But I feel like the Rams more than some others. The back injury does scare me. You know what else scares me? Last year, the defense was 17th in points, but they were 26th in yards given up. A lot of bending without breaking, and that's not something you can hang your hat on. So the defense worries me a little bit. The age of the team worries me a little bit. Let's not forget Devontae Adams is no spring chicken, right?
Yeah.
So I have the Rams missing the playoffs. They are not going to make it this year. It feels like Sean McVay has really been willing this team to win these games, and I just think that's going to come to an end. So for me, I, the team that's going to win the division, I had 2 teams here coming in, right? One of them is going to win the division. The other one's probably going to be the 7 seed. And I don't know which one is which. I actually think right now I'm going to have San Francisco as winning the division. I know the Ayuk thing, but I'm not. Ayuk has never really done it for me as a player on fantasy, real life. But Kyle Shanahan does because he is a great coach, whether you like him or not. They bring back Robert Saleh to run the defense, and that is
Yeah.
what he does. He flamed out with the Jets as a head coach. Look, sometimes people aren't made to be head coaches. Josh McDaniels, an incredible offensive coordinator, terrible head coach. So they have great coaches in place. We'll see if McCaffrey can keep his health. Um, and the offense can basically run itself. They got a good quarterback, point guard. So the Niners are almost always up there fighting for division title. I think they probably get it this year. And the other team, oh, also almost no talk about injury bug in the Lions. I think there were only 1 or 2, maybe, players on offense for the Niners that played all 17 games.
Yeah.
That's it. Seattle, a team in their division, They had 8 guys play all 17 games on offense, just on offense. Um, and the defense was a little bit of a struggle last year, surprisingly, for San Francisco. So they do bring in Sal, like I said, and they hammered defense early in the draft. So I like that. And then my other team from the NFC West is the Arizona
There you go.
Cardinals. Would you say that Kyler Murray had a down year last year?
This is a Kyler Murray needs to put something up this year.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
think that's fair. For all the hype and everybody loves Kyler Murray has to put up. He has to put up W's, and he needs to. Marvin Harrison. That tandem needs to put up numbers. It's the bottom line, and that's why I had them. I toyed with them as maybe 3 teams out of this division, with them being the third, and I wouldn't be shocked if they did it, if they did do it, but I kind of needed to see it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I would say Kyler Murray had a down year. They still had the 12th best scoring offense in football last year. And the defense, they could use a little help there for sure. The top 5 picks in the draft were all on defense. And they brought in Josh Sweat via free agency. Well, guess who was Josh Sweat's defensive coordinator when they were in Philly together? Jonathan Gannon. He knows how to use that guy,
Yeah.
right? So, and they were 8-9. I mean, they won. They were almost a 500 team last year, right? 8-9. I think it didn't feel that way. But I like this sneaky deep, sneaky good defense. Get that offense up a tick just a little bit. They don't. I don't think they have to improve a ton to see more wins in the win column.
All right. NFC 1 through 7. I have Detroit, Philly, Rams 3 with an asterisk with Stafford, Tampa 4, and in my 3 wild cards, Washington, San Francisco. I feel good about most of them. Minnesota is the 7. If you told me Green Bay, if you told me Atlanta, if you told me Arizona, if you told me Dallas, I couldn't disagree. You can make a legit case. That's my 1 through 7. What about you?
Yeah, I got Philly 1, Detroit 2. I got San Francisco 3, Atlanta 4. And then for the wild cards, I have Green Bay, Arizona, and I'll have Dallas as a 7th seed.
All right. Now, before we get to individual awards, one last team projection. Give me your Super Bowl matchup.
Listen, this is when the program takes a turn and I sound like a homer. That's fine. I don't care. It's the joys of having arguably, well, not even arguably as of last year, the best team in football. Give me my Eagles versus the matchup that everybody wants, the Buffalo Bills. That Imagine the tailgate for the Super Bowl if it's Eagles Bills. That thing will be wild. So give me the Eagles against the Bills.
I agree with you. It's no fun. I have the same matchup. I
Really?
say I say you put it at a central location, play it at MetLife in Jersey, let both teams play there. Don't make the Eagle fans travel too far. Don't make the Buffalo fans travel too far. You play it in MetLife. Hopefully there's a little snow on the ground and things just get crazy in the swamp. That's
I
what I
got
say.
I got chills thinking about that, man. Would that be something?
Yep. Central location, neutral. It's got to be neutral.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Play it at MetLife. You know what is that? A couple of hours each direction for both teams.
Yeah, I love
Fans
it.
can get there.
Let's do it.
Now, I'm assuming here's where we're going to disagree. I'm assuming you have the Philadelphia Eagles going back to back.
It would be nice, wouldn't it?
I This is the year Buffalo breaks the snide. Um, this is Josh Allen's year. I have the Buffalo Bills winning the Super Bowl.
If my Eagles aren't going to win, let it be Josh Allen and the Bills.
And that leads me to my first individual award, league MVP, Josh Allen.
Jalen Hurts. What?
Josh Allen, you say Jalen Hurts, league MVP. Listen, the one thing I don't like about NFL MVP is it's always going to be a quarterback. It just is nowadays.
Yeah, you're right.
So, all right. Offensive player of the year. I have Jahmyr Gibbs, and I was
Love it.
torn between Gibbs and Bijan Robinson. Those were my final 2. A slight nod to Gibbs. Those were my 2. I don't trust Saquon. We've talked about Saquon, the workload.
Yeah.
I love Saquon. I think it goes a little different direction. It's going to go to somebody who's massive numbers, and both Bijan and Gibbs are going to have those massive numbers. So all of this obviously assuming health. Jameer Gibbs, my offensive player of the year. You?
Yeah, it's interesting because if you look at history, the offensive player of the year has been more, not so much as quarterback with MVP, but been more of a running back
Mm-hmm.
um, award because since 2000, a running back's won it 13 times. So over 50% of the time, a running back gets this award. And for me, it's Bijan. It's Bijan Robinson
There you go.
out of Atlanta, right? I think he is the engine that carries that Falcons team to a playoff berth. PFF has Atlanta's offensive line as the eighth best unit going into the season, which I think a lot of people are overlooking or don't know. And that's big time, right? Bijan in his career, the short career he's had, he's averaged almost 1,700 total yards and 9 touchdowns and 60 catches per season. So when he's averaging that, including his rookie year, I think it's kind of easy to see where he could have a 2,000 scrimmage yard season, an 18 plus touchdown season. He had 15 last year. So I don't think it's a stretch to see him improve a little bit and then take this award.
Defensive player of the year. I mentioned him earlier. It's contingent on coming back from that leg injury. But give me Aiden Hutchinson and his pass rush from the
Mm-hmm.
Detroit Lions. I would go Micah Parsons, but who knows who he's playing for. So that's a concern. The Bosa's getting up in age, tough to trust them. For me, it was Aiden Hutchinson.
My defensive player of the year is going to be a little off the wall sounding. I bet some people listening to the show may not even have heard this player's name before, but that's okay because who should have been the defensive player of the year last year? It should have been Zach Bond, linebacker for the Eagles.
You
It
got mad at
wasn't.
me.
It was,
I drafted him in our IDP league,
I was
and you
furious.
got a text to me right away.
That was my next pick. Um, he, but before last year, nobody knew his name either. He was
Yeah.
a backup special teams player, occasionally played defensive end for the Saints, comes in, transforms his career. Now, I think he should have been the player of the year last year. And an inside linebacker hasn't won it since Luke Kuechly did in 2013. Zach Bond's stats 151 tackles, 11 tackles for loss, 5 QB hits, 1 pick, 5 forced fumbles, and a fumble recovery. Those stats, I think, could have won the award. Luke Kuechly stats 156 tackles. Okay. 10 tackles for loss. That's the same. 2 QB hits, 4 picks, no fumble anything. My pick for defensive rookie of the year, linebacker for the Atlanta Falcons, Caden Ellis. 151 tackles last year, 8 tackles for loss, 11 QB hits, a pick, a fumble recovery. He does it all. They've improved their defense, which should allow him to eat even more than he already has. His stats are there. Very similar to Luke Kuechly's when he won the Defensive Player of the Year award.
All right. So you have Bourne as defensive player of the year. You have Caden Ellis, the rookie from Atlanta, winning rookie defensive player of the year.
No, see, that's my see. Caden Ellis has been in the league for like 6 years.
I was going to say, like, what you
Yeah.
mentioned defensive rookie of the year. And I'm like, wait a minute, this guy's been around.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is Zach Bond should have won last year, and I'm comparing their stats from last year.
Got it. You had me confused.
Sorry, that's my apologies. Almost the same stat line. So my defensive player of the year, Caden Ellis, and look, I understand I got the offensive and defensive player of the year coming from the same team. I get it. It's happened before. Okay. It happened with, I think it was the Rams in 2017. It happened with the Ravens in 2003. So, and those teams, they weren't even great teams, 11 win seasons, 10 win seasons. I think, in my opinion, I like this. And I bet I could win a ton of money if given odds. It's probably like plus 10,000 for him to win defensive player of the year.
Fair enough. Let's talk about the rookies. I will start on the offensive side. For the first time in a while, I don't know if there's a quarterback who can win the award. I'm not sold. I like Cam Ward. He's going to struggle, I think, at times. It's not going to be a year one sensation. My offensive rookie of the year is going to be, you could go with some of the running backs, but I'm going Ted McMillan.
Okay, I like it.
Uh, um, a lot of people are going to go Travis Hunter. I think you could make a case for Travis Hunter potentially on both sides of the ball. I don't have him as either one because I think at times he may be spread a little too thin. I think Ted McMillan walks into a spot very few rookie wide receivers walk into. Brian Thomas kind of did last year, where he's the guy, right? Like Adam Thielen, the veteran, is there. But like if you told me Ted McMillan ended the year with 100 catches and 1,200 yards, nobody would be shocked by that
Nope.
because of the opportunity he has. That Carolina offense, Bryce Young showed growth last year after being benched. Hubbard took over, a very nice little running back, and now McMillan is the next piece at the wide receiver. So Ted McMillan, my offensive rookie of the year. You?
I like it. I do not have Ted McMillan. I do have one of the running backs. I have Ashton Genty. It's probably chalky. He's, if I had to guess, Vegas probably has his odds at the best. But so instead of telling you why I think he'll win, even though I do, I'll give you some cons, something that scares me a little bit, and it kind of scares me a little bit now for fantasy drafts.
Did
The more I dig
Bowers
into this,
win rookie of the Bowers won it last year, right?
I believe so.
And it's going to be interesting to see if the Raiders can pull it off 2 years in a row.
Oh boy, that would say something, wouldn't
Yeah.
it? I think Vegas has Genty at like 6.5 touchdowns, rushing touchdowns on the season. So of the top 15 running backs last year in terms of fantasy, at least, only two of them had 6 touchdowns. Everyone else had more. And the two that
Who has
didn't was
more
like,
touchdowns, Ashton Genty or Ted McMillan this year?
boy, that's tough because both of them are on tough offenses, right? Neither offense projects to score a ton of points. I know the Raiders are projected right around 7 wins. The Panthers, I would assume, probably about the same. Man, if I was putting money on it, I'd probably put it on Genty simply because of the opportunity share that he's going to have. But I wouldn't put a lot on it. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and and Vegas has Genty at 1075.5 rushing yards, which isn't a lot.
No.
So I know that stuff kind of worries me. I mean, that's barely a top 20 running back, 6 touchdowns and maybe 1,100 yards. So that worries me a bit, but I'll stick with Genty as mine just because they got nobody else in that backfield.
Yeah.
His pass game is really gonna matter. So we'll see.
Defensive rookie of the year. This is my one homer pick. The new Michael Parsons, Abdul
Okay.
Carter, New York
He,
Giants.
he looked good.
That
Oh,
I will say this: that pass rush of the Giants is something other offenses are going to have to contend with. Thibodeau was hurt last year. Some people are viewing him as disappointing. I still think there's talent there. Brian Burns can get after it when they picked him up in the trade before last year. And now you add Carter, they can move all around the field. Those three guys going after it, I think Carter can be the guy who benefits. If there's anything a Giant fan needs to be excited about, it's watching him. He has a chance to probably be the most dominant defensive player that team has had since Lawrence Taylor. And I'm not saying he's Lawrence Taylor. I'm not saying he's Lawrence Taylor. I'm saying he could be the most dominant since.
I bet
Um,
Michael Strahan would have something to say.
Strahan dominant, no doubt about it. Taylor was different because
Oh
you
yeah,
always knew where Strahan was. And a defense always knew where Strahan was. An offense won't. Lawrence Taylor was everywhere. He they Bill Parcells back in the day, they would put a defensive scheme in, a defensive play in, and it was like 10 guys would follow the plan, and Lawrence Taylor did whatever he wanted, right? Like that's been acknowledged. He lined up wherever
yeah.
he wanted. Um, Abdul Carter is that type of guy with guys like Dexter Carter, with Thibodeau, with Burns, the ability they have to move Carter around to take care of mismatches or take advantage of mismatches and go after it. I just love his opportunity. Double digit sacks uh, is a very real possibility for that rookie. So I have him as defensive rookie of the year. You?
Uh, yeah, I like it. What's wrong with your Giants, by the way? Because Abdul Carter goes in there. It's like, hey, Mr. Taylor, could I have your number? And he's like, no. And he's like, all right. Was it like Phil Simms? I think it was like, Mr. Simms, can I have your number? No, you can't have it. So it's like they won't. Your old heads won't let the young guys come in and honor them by throwing that number on their back.
That's giant royalty. Those two guys are giant royalty. That's a tough one for a new guy to take.
I hear you. So for me, I'm realizing I apparently living in 1995 because not only is my defensive player of the year an inside linebacker, my defensive rookie of the year is an inside linebacker. How about Carson Schweschinger from the Cleveland Browns? He was the first pick of the second round, so just missed that first round draft capital. Oh, he's going to be his team is maybe going to be fighting the Saints for the worst offense in football, which puts his butt on the field a whole lot more. Tons of opportunities for tackles and making plays. He had one great season in college, which is why he got drafted as high as he did. He had a ton of tackles, multiple sacks, multiple picks. He can do a little bit of everything, sideline to sideline player. So I'm excited to see how he rolls with this.
All right, one more award before we wrap up, and that's the comeback player of the year, which is always a tough one for me. Like what construes a comeback? Is it a guy coming off a down year? Is it a guy coming off an injury? So my view of it was I have two guys here that injury led to disappointment. My two guys here are, and if you told me, nah, he doesn't really qualify, I get it. My two guys are Stephon Diggs, who coming off the ACL, the number one guy for Drake May. And I threw his name in because I don't honestly, will he qualify on this? But if he does, I think if Christian McCaffrey stays healthy for 17 games, I don't see how he's not a lock for it, right? Like, Christian McCaffrey is a supreme talent who was injured on and off all year. Somebody may, hit me up on Twitter. He doesn't qualify. He played X amount of games. Okay, fine. But if he plays 17 and he does qualify, I just see him being a no-brainer for comeback player of the year. You?
Yeah, that's who I have. I can't imagine that McCaffrey doesn't qualify. I mean, I don't know exactly what the qualifications are. Um, but what did he play 4 games last year and didn't even play 4 full games. So it's
Yeah.
hard for me to think that he doesn't qualify. And that's an easy pick because I mean, listen, if he does stay healthy, he is one of the best players in all of football. So I think that's an easy pick.
Real quick, coach of the year.
Oh, come on, man. Nick Sirianni, let's go. Give this guy.
There it is. There it is.
Come on. I told you it's going to turn into a Homer sounding show. But listen, he's been a head coach for 4 seasons. He's never had a losing season. He's made the playoffs every year, 2 Super Bowls, won one. Um, he's got a great resume. Just let's get him what he deserves. They're going to the Super Bowl again. Remember, we already
There you
discussed
go.
this.
They're winning
It's
the
already
Super
set
Bowl
in
games. So
stone.
that makes sense. All right, everybody. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today to our NFL preview. We'll do some more predictions over the course of the next couple of weeks as we get ready for week 1 of the NFL and your fantasy football season. Make sure you give Bob a follow on X. I believe it's RWAUGH. Follow me at Aniano Fantasy. And as always, my friend, this was a lot of fun.
Oh, dude, I love it, man. I look forward to this every week.
Yep, sounds good. Make sure you go back, check out all our positional preview episodes, getting you ready for your fantasy football season. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. Like and subscribe right here to our YouTube channel. And as always, everybody, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time right here. Clipboard Confessional with Bobby and Anthony.
Thanks. See ya.